Hello, welcome to Intersoft Solution tutorial video. This video will show you on how to configure client paging and server paging in WebScheduler's timeline view. First, create a new website using Intersoft empty website project template. For your information, WebScheduler in this video is already bound to SQL database through IS data source. For further information about how to bind WebScheduler, please check WebScheduler Getting Started video. WebScheduler's width property is already set to 100% and height property to 100%. Let's start configuring the client paging feature. Go to View Settings property and set selected view mode property to timeline. Notice that content cell width property is already set to 50, and the enabled property is set to true. To enable client paging in timeline view, set Enable Client Paging property to True. There are three options in timeline client paging: Event Page Size, Viewport and both. Let's try the default client paging mode first, Event Page Size mode. Set selected timeline view mode property to Weak. This is for better timeline layout view in this video. Save and view the result. Notice that the WebScheduler has 5 resources that has been imputed to the database: Developer, Marketing, Documentation, Sales and Support. This is weak timeline view. Let's try to add several events. In Event Page Size client-side paging mode, the default maximum event per timeline cell is 3 events, so if we have more than 3 events per cell, then a more icon will appear, which indicates the cell has more event. Notice the more icon appear when we add the 4th event. Click the icon, and the hidden event will appear and Timelines row will automatically resize. Back to Visual Studio. Now, we would like to configure the event page size maximum event per cell. Go to Timeline View property. Notice that the total event in cell property is set to 3. Now, go to Event Page Size property. Set it to 1. Save and view the result. Notice that current timeline cells show 1 event per cell and hide the other events. It is because we set Event Page Size property to 1. Remember, total event in cell property is still 3, but the setting does not reflect in timeline. This is because in Event Page Size client paging mode, the Event Page Size property is more important. If there is a conflict, like total event in cell is 3 but event page size is 1, WebScheduler will go with Event Page Size property. Back to Visual Studio. Now, let's try Viewport client paging mode in Timeline View. Go to Timeline View property and find Client Paging Mode property. Set it to Viewport. Save and view the result. In Viewport paging mode, Timeline View will render all events based on the visible viewport. Notice that when we are still scrolling the scroll bar, there is no event in Sales and Support resource. After we stop scrolling, WebScheduler will automatically detect the screen's real estate and display the events from the new viewport of Timeline. Back to Visual Studio. Now, let's try both client paging mode. Set client paging mode property to both. Save and view the result. This mode combines the best of both event page size and viewport client paging. This concept renders events based on visible viewport, and restricts them when exceeding the numbers of allowed event from event page size property. Back to Visual Studio. Let's try to activate server paging feature in timeline view. For your information, server paging feature is only applicable when the client paging is set to viewport or both. For certain scenarios with smaller data or less than 1,000 of records in month view, the server paging may not be necessarily enabled, so that the complete data can be transmitted in a single page load. To enable server paging mode, simply set Enable Server Paging property to True, and make sure Client Paging Mode property is viewport or both. Save and view the result. The concept server paging in timeline view is WebScheduler downloads only a small chunk of data, based on the viewport during initial load, and intelligently requests more data as users scroll downward. This translates to reduced page load time and increased overall application responsiveness. With simple settings, you can now easily configure client paging and server paging in WebScheduler's timeline view. Thank you for watching Intersoft Solution tutorial video. For further information, you can visit our website at www.intersoftpt.com.